Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Megumi Byrne, and I'm a marketing and sales rep for IALC in Japan. For some of you who might not be so familiar, IALC is a non-profit organization that accredits and represents independent and quality language schools that teach the official language of their country. Currently, there are about 140 accredited schools in 20 countries, covering 10 languages. Today, we are representing Center of English Studies, or CES in short. We have Erin from CES to do the presentation for us. It'll be about 30 minutes long. But before that, let me quickly go through some points to note so we all have a smooth webinar experience. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel, which you can find at the bottom of your screen. We'll have time for questions and answers at the end. We will also send you a recording of this session later so that you can review what's been talked about or shown. And if the internet goes down by accident and we lose the connection, please try to rejoin a little later. I hope it's not going to happen. Now, I hope we can turn the time over to Erin. Can you take over, Erin?
My pleasure, Megumi. Thank you for the introduction, and I appreciate the invitation to come today to present the CES schools to you here. So some of you may be familiar with CES, some of you may not, but please indulge me. Allow me to just give you a little bit of an overview of the different schools, how they're similar, how they're different, and then just a little bit of information about some accommodation and some of our program information as well. So I will begin my presentation now. I'll share my screen. Bear with me here while I just get that pulled up. And here we go. Excellent. So as Megumi mentioned, I am here with Center of English Studies, CES. Now, Center of English Studies was initially started way back in 1979 in Dublin. And since then, it has expanded to Edinburgh, several locations in the UK, including London, Oxford, Leeds, and Worthing. And we're also now present in Canada. So we opened our first Canadian school in 2018 when CES purchased Global Village Toronto. And now this fall, in fact, in just a couple of weeks, we're opening CES Vancouver. And I'm particularly proud of that because I am the principal of the CES Vancouver School. And I'll show you a little bit about the school further on in the presentation. So as I mentioned, the school began in 1979, so that's over 40 years of service. And you can see the locations there spread across Ireland, the UK, and Canada. Right. So this page gives you a sense of some of our accreditations, which are multiple, as you can see, including IALC. And again, my thanks to IALC for the invitation to present today. I won't go into detail to run through these, except to indicate that the number of accreditations we hold are just a really important indication of our quality. This is something that's really important to us in the way we conduct our business, the way we treat our agent partners, and the way we deal with our students and help them achieve their own personal goals. So please just be reassured that we are a very, very high quality organization, and we bring that to what we do every day. So first up, I would like to just show you a few pictures, tell you a little bit about our headquarters, our first school in Dublin. If you've been to Dublin, you may recognize some of these scenes. And in downtown Dublin, CES has three main campuses, and they are the three on the left here in the map. So they're all very close together. There are two additional campuses here. These are overflow campuses, if you will. They are for high season, so we'll use additional campuses in the high season. So as with any of our schools, the schools are very centrally located and close to all the attractions. You can see in the map here, including Dublin Castle, Christchurch, Temple Bar, and so on. One thing that makes CES different, and I'm going to pause here on Dublin a little bit longer than some of the other schools. One thing that makes CES different is the fact that CES, in fact, owns the school buildings for almost all of our schools in all the locations. And that means that while the pandemic was certainly challenging, the fact that we owned our buildings meant that we weren't struggling to pay rent in the way that some other schools have done. And so that really helped us to move through the pandemic without the degree of challenge that some other schools saw. And that really helped with our stability, which we're continuing on today. So it's not a boast, and I do, of course, feel very badly about the schools that were forced to close or that really struggled through the pandemic. But it is, again, I think, just another indication of how you can rely on CES for quality and stability. All right, I'm going to keep moving now. This is just some of the scenes that you might see from inside the CES Dublin campuses. We've got patio gardens, cafeterias, bright and inviting classrooms, and so forth. And then in the city of Dublin, again, if anyone's been there, you may recognize some of these very famous sites. There's just an endless array of things to do and things to see. All right, moving on. As I said, CES Toronto, prior to Vancouver, was the most recent edition. Now, during the pandemic, during the peak of the pandemic, CES Toronto, in fact, took advantage of the incredible changes in the real estate market to move from their previous location to this new location in the center of your screen. Now, CES really has the entire building here. It's a dedicated facility. And as you can see, we've got the same kind of atmosphere in the school as we did in the previous location. The pool table is there, bright glass-walled classrooms. Center top is one of our IELTS exam rooms. So we do a lot of IELTS preparation, a lot of IELTS exams. And on the right-hand side is our very friendly director of studies. And she's there to help students every day in any way. Some of the highlights that I'd like to point out for the Toronto school, right off the top, would be a great nationality mix. And one of the benefits for our Japanese students is that our nationality mix, our Japanese percentage in Toronto is roughly 10%. And our European student population is, I would say, roughly 40%. So it really is, then we have most of the rest of the students would be coming from Latin America, Korea, Taiwan, and Brazil. Yeah, so it's a real opportunity to meet and network with people from multiple regions around the world and really to enjoy all of what Eastern Canada can offer. Now, as I said, I'm particularly proud of the CES Vancouver School because I am the principal there, and we cannot wait to open our doors to students. We did move into the facility just last week, so I've been preparing for months in the background. We moved into the facility last week, and the rest of our furniture will actually be delivered in 2 days' time. So everything is new, everything is beautiful. We're so excited and we can't wait. From October, our doors will open to students. So on the left, you'll see our friendly DOS in Vancouver. This is Michelle. And again, she can't wait to get students into classes. The center of your screen at the top, this is Peter. Now, Peter is our full-time Japanese speaker. So please have no concerns about support for you or for your students. We can offer that support in Japanese, and we're more than happy to do so. Okay. And then in the Vancouver neighborhood where we are, we're located in Gastown. So if anyone's been to Vancouver, that's right in the heart of the downtown area. Bottom left of the screen here, this is the steam clock in Gastown, and our campus is directly across the street. So really just a fabulous location in the historic district of Vancouver. We are steps from Waterfront Station. Really, it's a maybe 2-minute walk. And Waterfront Station is the main station where the buses, the metro, which is called SkyTrain, and the C-Bus, they all come together at Waterfront Station. So it's incredibly convenient. This station is also the closest to North Vancouver, which is where most of the homestay families live. So in fact, it's significantly closer to homestays than schools that are further into the downtown area. So that's an advantage as well. All right, I'll stop talking about Vancouver. As much as I love it, I'll move on to some of our other locations. CES London. All right, now CES London isn't actually in London itself. It's just outside of London in Wimbledon. Now, Wimbledon, as I'm sure you know, is the world's capital for tennis. So certainly if any of your students have an interest in tennis, that's a brilliant place to go. And this is just a fantastic location because, well, it's very, very close to the homestays themselves, because the homestay families don't live right in central London, of course. It's got all the charms of an English town, but it's 20 minutes from the center of London City by train. So really just that lovely balance of city and country. All right. Then we'll move on to CES Oxford here. Oxford, of course, is a historical city known for Oxford University, of course. And I'll have a couple of photos of that in the next slide. But these are some scenes from the CES Oxford school building. You can see the garden there, and again, a pool table inside, and just a very welcoming and enjoyable place to spend some time. Now, CES Oxford, similar to CES London, is actually just outside of Oxford in a town called Wheatley. So the same thing. It's got all the advantages of Oxford because it's really just a short bus ride away, but it's in a small town, so it's a very traditional feel in this town, and there's also access to all kinds of delightful countryside entertainment. The Cotswolds, of course, is very close by, which is world famous for walking the rolling hills and sheep and pastures and delightful views. All right. Oxford is known as the city of dreaming spires, and you may recognize Oxford University, in fact, as Hogwarts Castle, the Hogwarts School of Wizardry from the Harry Potter movies. It was, in fact, filmed there. That famous scene in the dining hall was filmed in the University of Oxford. So this is all just part of what students can experience should they choose CES Oxford. Great. Now, Edinburgh. Edinburgh, of course, up in Scotland. This, I will take just a moment to say, this is where our Queen is currently lying in state after her passing a few days back. But that's not a typical condition. That's just the current world situation. So I was struck by that. So I'm taking this moment to give honor to our Queen who passed away. Anyhow, CES Edinburgh is in the center of Edinburgh. And you can see in the photo of the top left, you can see Edinburgh Castle up on the hill. This also has a Harry Potter connection. Edinburgh Castle is where Voldemort's grave is in the film. So just for you Harry Potter fans, there's a little bit of trivia. You'll see in the center top, this is the CES Edinburgh School, and top right as well, this is the school building that you see here. An absolutely beautiful, beautiful city. As with the other cities, other schools, it is right in the center of town here. Short walk from Edinburgh Castle, short walk from the National Gallery, the train station, and so forth. And a few scenes from Edinburgh itself. Again, the castle up on the hill in the background. Okay. Now, CES Leeds, also in the UK. Leeds is, well, these scenes here are actually from the Leeds School. So you'll see that it's very recently renovated. It's very modern and inviting inside, very bright. Leeds is a city in the UK in the north, and I would say it's really very young, if you will. There are a lot of universities in this region, and so there's a very youthful population here. So this is a great spot for students who are looking for a really lively experience, lots of nightlife perhaps, lots of entertainment, things to do, and an opportunity to really meet other young people. It's also great, of course, for anyone who's into football. It is a fantastic football city, soccer, as we say in Canada, but one of the best football teams in the world right there, and a very enthusiastic fan base. So again, here we are in the center, very, very close to the city station and all the major bus routes. Some scenes from Leeds. It is, if you will, the London of the North, so really the heart of the North Country. All right. And then Worthing, CES Worthing. Now, CES Worthing is in a smaller seaside town. So this really is just quintessential, quaint, lovely British town, right on the ocean. If you're familiar with Brighton, where Brighton rock candies come from, Worthing is very similar to Brighton, but the difference, I would say, is that Brighton is, it's really more for adults. It's, there's again a lot of nightlife. It can be almost, I won't say rough, but it's very, it can be a little challenging in Brighton, whereas Worthing has the same beaches, the same delightful scenes, but it's incredibly safe. It's a smaller, calmer, safe place. So I would recommend Worthing for students who perhaps are traveling for the first time. Maybe they're a little bit nervous about going away, or they just are looking for a relaxing experience. Worthing is fabulous that way. Absolutely fantastic. And you can see how close we are to the ocean, to the pier from on this map here, as well as the train station. And then there's the pier itself, the beaches. It's just a wonderful little spot. All right, I'll spend a few minutes on accommodation. I'm checking the time here and seem to be doing all right. I'll spend a few minutes on accommodation. I'll talk a little bit about the courses, and I do want to be sure to leave time for questions, should you have any at the end of the presentation. So CES, all of the CES schools offer both homestay accommodation and residential accommodation. So homestays, of course, are an incredible way for a student to really experience the local culture, to live with a family, to really have that language immersion, which can be challenging and intimidating, but is so helpful, so incredibly helpful. And it's also a great way just to learn about the local area as well. The families tend to be really helpful with suggestions about how to get places or where to go shopping for something in particular, or things to do at the weekend. And those connections can, in many cases, can last a long, long time, many years or a lifetime. We do ask that our agent partners are realistic in explaining what a homestay experience is likely to be to students, because really, homestay families in Canada in particular, but elsewhere as well, tend not to be, of course, upper class families. They tend not to take in homestay students. So a homestay family is often working class or lower middle class. And so their homes may not be extravagant and luxurious. They may be very simple, but you'll find that these families are very, very friendly, incredibly open, and helpful, and really just warm. I would say that would typically define a family, but it is important that students have an honest expectation about what they're likely to experience in a homestay before they go, so that we're not having to do that explanation after they arrive in the homestay. And if they had some Hollywood image of an incredible home in their minds, then we wouldn't want them to be disappointed. So please, if you have any questions about this or anything else as I'm going along, feel free to ask them in the chat or at the end, or following up. You can always reach us at CES through the website, through our own personal information, or of course, Megumi can certainly pass on contact information if you have difficulty finding it. Okay, so in our homestays, they are all visited, they are all carefully inspected. We do have criminal record checks, of course. You can expect that your students will receive a warm and friendly welcome. And we are sure that our homestay families live close to either the schools, typically that would be the case in the UK, or close to public transit links in other places, right? Okay, and then again, all of our locations have residential accommodation as well. So here are some photos from the Leeds accommodation. I'll just move through these reasonably quickly. This is the Edinburgh residence here, or the residence that we use in Edinburgh. This one is one of the Dublin residences. It's actually a bit more of a home that's been converted into a residence. Pardon me. I'll go back there. This is another one in Dublin. So we do in fact have more, but I haven't put them all in here. This is the Live residence in Dublin. In Vancouver, we work with 3 separate residence buildings, and so we're happy to help with those arrangements. Residence is very popular. I strongly recommend, regardless of where a student is going, not just Vancouver, but I do strongly recommend that you book ahead for any residence accommodation. Toronto, same thing. The Toronto school, CES school, works with several different residence providers in the Toronto area. Okay, now a little bit about the courses, and then I'll wrap things up. So, adult courses. The most popular always is general English. And that, of course, at CES can be offered in different durations, mornings only, or including afternoon classes. It varies a little bit from Ireland and the UK to Canada, but generally speaking, it's available mornings only or mornings and afternoons. We do offer English for Business classes. We do offer exam preparation classes, including Cambridge, IELTS, and also in Canada, we're offering the Occupational English Test, or OET. This is an English equivalency test for medical professionals. So people who might be wanting to become a pharmacist, a nurse, or doctor, or some other medical practitioner in Canada or in the United States, this test is widely accepted. Private lessons, of course, we offer. There are teacher training courses. And one advantage of having so many schools is that students can do what we call a multi-destination course. So a student might want to start their studies in London and then move to Dublin, Or they might want to start in Toronto and then head out to Vancouver, or mix it up, maybe start in Vancouver and then head to Leeds. There are lots and lots of combinations, of course, that a student can do. We're here to make that happen if that's what a student would like, and we'll help every step of the way. I will mention too, just on that last note, that our curriculum is harmonized between all the schools. So all of our courses are aligned to the CEFR, or the Common European Framework. So if a student is transferring campuses from one to another, the curriculum is very smooth and aligned between the different schools. So no difficulties there. Junior courses, we offer a variety of junior courses, but the most popular would be the summer packages. We can certainly create packages like this during Japanese school holiday times. So it doesn't have to be in summer. It can be August, of course, but it could also be in March or in the winter time. We're happy to do that. Those can be residential or homestay, depending on the location. They are full board. Typically, students will do classes in the mornings, afternoon activities. And then for students who are staying in residence as part of their package, we would also offer evening activities to make sure that they're fully entertained and also safe. Those packages will include weekend excursions, airport transfers, and transit passes. And we can certainly adapt the activities or anything else to your needs if you have a group for us. All right. So I am very grateful to have been given this time. I do want to say that although I didn't have specific slides for it, I hope you saw throughout the presentation and in this last slide that a really important part of what we do at CES is the activity program. So our academics are very strong. We take a lot of care with our accommodation, but it's the activities I know that students really will carry forever. Language skills, yes, but the activities are where they really build those memories and build those friendships that are going to carry them through the years and the future to come. All right, I will stop there. Thank you, Megumi. And should there be any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Erin, for the beautiful presentation.
My pleasure.
You're right. The passing of the Queen was totally unexpected. I wasn't ready for
yes,
that.
I'm sorry, I stumbled a bit there because it's very personal to me. I grieve. I grieve. She meant a lot to me. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So now we'll go ahead and take some time for questions. For questions, please be sure to type them into the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel at the bottom of your screen. So do we have any questions?
Well, while we're waiting for questions, I will take a moment to apologize to the attendees. I really am so sorry that I couldn't do this presentation in Japanese. I do hope, however, that this time next year, or certainly before that, I'll be able to ask our Japanese speaker, Peter, to help with these presentations so that they can be done in Japanese. Yes.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Erin.
Yeah.
So looks like we don't have any questions, or maybe some people are writing their questions right now. Let's give it a few seconds.
Absolutely. Absolutely, we will. Okay. I'm trying to think. I mean, there are lots and lots of details that I didn't include. Obviously, it's we have only so much time, and I recognize that we have only so much patience as well. I think over the last couple of years, everyone's been spending a lot of time on Zoom, a lot of time in webinars and so on. So, you know, I don't want to take too much time, but again, let me say, please don't hesitate to get in touch with any of us if there's something we can help with, and we'll do our best. Yeah.
Okay. Looks like we really don't have any questions. for now.
Well, I'll take that to mean I did a good job.
Great. You covered everything.
There you
All
go.
right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today in the middle of your night. We really appreciate it.
Truly my pleasure. Yes, it is. It's late here. I apologize for the dark room, but it's now 12:30. So yes.
That's right. Thank you for your time. And many
My pleasure.
thanks to our valued agents for joining us today. We really appreciate you being here with us. And I hope your knowledge has been expanded by this webinar. But if you have any questions, we encourage you to get in touch with us by email. We're more than happy to provide additional support. So thank you again, and we'll see you next time.
Excellent.
Okay.
ありがとうございます。Thank you so much for your time and attention, everyone. Thank you for the invitation to YALC.
Thank you. Goodbye. Good night.